Hey guys. Oh boy. This is gonna be a short video. I'm filthy again because I feel like I have seriously been sanding for my whole life, but at least for a few weeks, and mostly that's because I have been. Yeah. I'll turn you around. Let me show you where we're at. This is boring. Alright, so there's the cab. So I have been you can see how dusty just the whole world is in here. I can't remember, but in another video you might have seen it where try to see if we can get that. Oh, there we go. Get that out of the screen. In another video, I took the whole thing down to 220. And then we started finding our damage. We fixed the cab corners. And so what I've done now is I have put on mud twice. The first round of mud, I used some nice fiberglass reinforced filler that I had for a fiberglass front end. And good Lord, never again. It sands so hard. So I went back to a lightweight filler for the next round, and then the round 3 where I was just doing little tiny areas like that or so, and that's where we're at now. So took that 40 grit all down, and then now I'm back to 220 in those areas. So the whole truck is back to 220. I've visually gone over it. I have run my hand over every square inch of this truck to feel for imperfections. I know I have a couple left. I know there's a couple that I'm gonna have to fix. But the next step where we're at right now is I gotta get this thing cleaned up. It is so dusty. So the handy part about this thing being on wheels is that I'm gonna roll it out. I'm gonna take the blower and I'm gonna clean out the barn a little bit, get some of this dust out of here, and then I'm gonna wash it. We're just gonna do a quick rinse and wash with some Dawn dish soap. We're gonna do the interior. We're gonna spray some degreaser on that firewall, any other spots where I think there's any remaining grease. But we're gonna clean this whole thing up and get any residual residue off of it. And then we're gonna bring it in and we're gonna wipe it down with wax and grease remover real fast, or some lacquer thinner or what have you. Probably not lacquer thinner because that does bad things to paint. So we'll do wax and grease remover to get any of that water residue left. And then it's gonna sit in the barn and it's gonna dry. And tomorrow, this is a Sunday, so tomorrow or Tuesday, then the next step is basically a guide coat. We're gonna seal it and then we're gonna do a guide coat. So I've got some, my usual epoxy primer sealer is what's gonna get laid down first over everything, inside and out. On the inside, then we're done. That's it. That's all we're gonna do. Well, maybe. And then the outside, then we're gonna do, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 coats of some 1K high build primer. Start filling sanding scratches, some of the light imperfections that may take care of, and then use that as a guide coat to show me where my issues are. I'm out of lightweight filler, so I gotta pick up some more of that, but then once that high build's on, then we'll be able to see where our issues are, do some more minor sanding, and then next weekend we're gonna do another coat. Once everything's sanded and it's where I want it, then we'll do a final coat of epoxy primer sealer again, because we need to seal back over any of that additional body work. And then while we're still in our recoat window, we're gonna shoot base clear. And then the cab will be done, finally. Let's get this thing washed. going to test out this new microphone too. I already was using my new tripod, so ooh, fancy. So this is where we're going to call it for today. If I could just go straight to paint, I probably actually have time where I could get this thing all in primer before dinner time. But A, I don't want to rush it, and B, we got to let this thing dry. All right, well, I actually had to mix a second batch. Unfortunately, that has a epoxy primer sealer has a what you want to call it, an incubation period. Has to, in these temps anyway, below 70, it's got to sit for an hour so before you can shoot it. So anyway, kind of a delay there, but regardless, got our rest of it on. Luckily I had plenty. I anticipated that, so I bought more. So she's got a good solid 2 coats of epoxy primer sealer on her now, and to be honest with you, I'm pretty happy. Other than the roof, you probably, I don't know if you can see those, but there's about 30 very small dents in the roof. We're not going to try to fill every one. And to be honest with you, I think if I can give it 3 coats of 1K, some filler primer, I think that plus our base and our clear is going to take a lot of it out. You know, it's the roof of a work truck, guys. At the end of the day, here's my take on this. I'm trying to get it very, very nice. But this is not a $50,000 or $100,000 ramp truck build. It's not. It's something that's going to be attainable for normal people. It's a cool truck. And yeah, it's cab off, frame off, everything down to, I mean, you can see this. We're down to every clip and fastener is gone. Yeah, it's going to be a nice build. And yeah, I'm going to ask a nice price for it. But this isn't a Concours d'Elegance fucking truck. This isn't going to go across the stage at Mecum or at Barrett Jackson. You know what I'm saying? This is a 95 Chevy 3500 HD that's been stretched and bagged and a ramp truck and Cummins swapped. You know, this isn't every man's kind of truck. So we're going to give it a paint job that I'm happy with, but I can't do, you know, I can't do 1,000 hours of body work on this thing. I can't even do, I'm already going to be at 100 to 200 hours. I can't do more than that. So yeah, there's going to be some imperfections, but they're going to be manageable ones. So I do find that there's a couple that I knew of. There's a couple that, honestly, there's a couple new ones. There's one right there. See that? It's really minor. I found a couple spots where clear coat, I didn't get sanded off. There's one right there. So we got to take that back down. I already took care of one of them that was right here. You can see that where it actually puddled a little bit on me underneath where it caught. So, you know, we've got some minor little spots, but overall, we're doing pretty good. There is one, I can barely see it. There's a small dent in the hood right there. Or roof, I'm sorry. So we are going to take care of that one. That one's going to be visible. It's coming down the edge. But overall, I'm really happy with the doors. I was worried about the doors. I did a lot of work on the doors. They're pretty good. I don't know if I mean, we'll get closer when we get after this finishes flashing and we get our other primer on, we'll see some more. But man, some of these spots, I do have to work this a little more. This was previous body work, but I got to get that worked out. I don't know what they did to this area. I don't know if it took a tree or what, but I don't know. Anyway, we got to get that feature line, I think, a little bit better, because that is pretty visible. But other than that, we're ready for our next coat of primer. This stuff. And get 2, 3, 4 coats of that. And then we're going to push this off to the side, and we'll come back to it in a few days and do a little bit of additional filler and some little bit of additional sanding. And then we're going to repeat this process. We're going to do another one quick coat of epoxy primer sealer, only on the outside. We're not going to do anything additional inside the cab. Once it's in primer, it's ready for base coat. But we'll do a quick second coat of epoxy primer sealer over basically body work, but we're just going to do a coat over everything, give it one more layer to hide imperfections, and then we'll go right to base clear, and this bad boy will be done and ready to start fitting interior and get mounted to a truck. All right, well, I didn't bring you along for the primer surfacer. Man, that was an experience. You can see it. up where I couldn't get good coverage, couldn't reach right. Played hell with getting the gun settings right. It's hypersensitive to pressure and mixture. Doesn't stay suspended with the solvent very well, so it's prone to separating out. That's where those solids come from. But man, that stuff is thick. Holy crap. I mean, I'm gonna take, look, you can see where that chip was. Good Lord, it damn near filled it in. Another coat, it would have been filled in. So, yeah, it's a pain to work with, but good Lord, it does the job. Now, I have to sand all of it. That's gonna be just a real freaking treat. That's why I have like a whole bunch of Scotch-Brite, because that's what we're doing on firewalls and door jams and interior and all that good stuff. But I think we're in a good place. I do have a couple spots, nothing crazy that I need to run some filler on, and we'll sand that down, sand the whole thing down. We'll do the filler, and then we'll be ready for. So I got probably another whole day easily of sanding and filler and whatnot, but then another part of a day of base clear or sealer, then base clear, and we're good to go. So I'm gonna roll this thing out of the way. I got another project to bring in. Let's do it. All right, well, I know this just looks like another part of the video to you guys, but it is another week and a whole lot of work later. I've got tennis elbow pretty bad in my right elbow because of the things that I do. And man, sanding just makes it way worse. I do wear a brace. I'm wearing it right now. And it comes and goes, but when it's bad like this, I have to wear the brace even at night, or the pain is pretty rough. But anyway, yeah, sanding, doing body work is not easy on that. But anyway, I didn't show you any of it because it sucks and it's boring. But after I shot the epoxy primer and the high build primer, I went back in and I've now spent 2 days sanding. So I just hand sanded everything inside with some sponge stuff, and then same with like insides of doors and jams and stuff like that. And then I took the entire, I blocked the entire outside, started with, did 80 in a number of spots, and then went down to 220 on everything. The entire truck, or cab, I should say. Then I did some filler because I could see, the primer coats that showed where I needed some more filler work. So I did another little bit of lightweight filler. And then I did another round of lightweight filler. And then I felt pretty good, in a few spots anyway, not everywhere. Then I felt pretty good about it. And so I went to 40 grit on that filler and got that done. Then I went back to 220 on all the filler. So at that point, then we were back to 220 overall. And then at that point, I did my spot putty, glazing putty. That fills basically pinholes and any scratching, sanding scratches that you don't want to sand back out, whatever. So did my glazing putty. Back to 220 with that. In some places I went straight to 320, but then we went to 320 on everything. And guys, 320 is where I'm stopping. We are doing, remember, we're doing epoxy primer still, and then base coat and then clear coat. And to be honest with you, again, I've said it before, but for what this truck is, this is good enough for the girls we go with. In fact, it's great for that. The body where there's no reason to go to 400 grit, wet sanded or whatever I wanted to do when we've got body work that's going to be like 95% there. If it was going to be 100%, great, absolutely, we'll go to 400. But the minor, you're not going to see it anyway. I mean, honestly, we got to match imperfection for imperfection. We got to what's the corporate term? Manage expectations.
That would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
We're managing expectations right now. There is no reason to spend another 3 or 4 hours going to 400 grit, it's going to get me nothing. So we're done. So then after I went to 320 on everything, we took the truck outside. I washed everything inside it out, got rid of all that dust. You can see it's wet in here. I hosed down everything in here I could hose down. I squeegeed the floor back off. It's still dusty. You can see my footprints still from walking around, but it's a lot better than it was, and it's dampened up, so we don't have any loose dust, hopefully, that's gonna get blasted up. My epoxy primer is mixed. We got about 50 minutes left on that, and I've already rinsed this down with wax and grease remover again to get rid of any moisture, and I've blown it repeatedly with my hand blower. I'm going to keep doing that, all the nooks and crannies, so we don't have any random water droplets that get blasted around when we start shooting paint. But with that said, guys, it is finally time to paint this damn truck. So we are going to shoot in the next 2-3 hours. We're going to shoot epoxy primer, and then it's time to reveal the color too. That's what it looks like. General Motors 9794 bright teal. That is I don't know when they brought the color out. Maybe 92 or 3, I don't know. But anyway, it was a color. I found it on 94 trucks. So it's a standard 1994 GM truck color. You guys all know it. It's a pretty awesome color. I want this truck to be period correct. So she's going teal. But anyway, all right, another 50 minutes, we'll start shooting paint. Well, I found the limitations of my new tripod. It doesn't work very good as a selfie stick, but man, that was a long, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, but it's in paint. Let's check it out. Okay, well, there it is in all its glory. 1994 GM bright teal. So that was 2 coats of epoxy primer, 2 coats of base coat, and 2 coats of clear. Man, I'm getting pretty good at paint. I'm not that good at body work because I hate it, but paint, I mean, there's a couple spots that maybe the clear is a little dry, but man, it's so minor that I'm not even going to talk about it. We didn't clear the inside, so you can see there's actually just a lot of clear overspray on the floor. Believe it or not, that did get base coated, but it's just a lot of clear overspray. So that's okay. Obviously, that's all getting covered. We just wanted the interior to be sealed. That's the key, which really I didn't need to put any even base coat on it because it had epoxy primer sealer. But anyway, the firewall's got 2 coats of clear. The roof's got 2 coats of clear. The jam's got 2 coats of clear. We're in good shape. I'm really happy with it. Like I say, a couple minor bodywork issues. I'm not going to worry about that. As I keep saying, this is more than good enough for the girls we go with. So, all right, that's it. I know it was a long time coming. I know it took forever, but we're done. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with this project and bearing with the boring stuff. And, we get to move on to putting interior together, or get this cab on the frame, building a flatbed, if you know what that is. Actually, building a ramp bed. That's what a lot of that is. Believe it or not, that's $2,000 worth of steel. Yikes. Anyway, stay tuned. There's more coming soon.